Hey guys, it's Brooke with SupertutorTV, and today I'm going to give you 5 tips for the PSAT. Now, before we get started, the first thing that I want to say to all of you is if you're prepping for the PSAT or you're getting ready to take the PSAT, subscribe to our channel because SupertutorTV has so much awesome information about the whole test prep journey. And if you're in the PSAT phase, you are at the beginning of that journey, and we have lots more tips for you. So the first thing I'm going to say about the PSAT is it's basically like a practice SAT. It's a good gauge to see how do I do on a test that's basically identical to the SAT but slightly shorter, and how much prep do I want to put into this, and what kind of colleges am I going to be able to apply to, and what is this whole standardized test thing all about? So let's get into our tips. The first tip that I have is to bring stuff with you. What stuff? Well, 3 things in particular. 1, a number 2 pencil, not mechanical, with a good solid eraser on the back end of it that works. 2, a graphing calculator if you've got it, that's approved by the SAT. And then the third thing that you should bring with you is a watch that doesn't beep, so you can easily time yourself. You never know where the clock's gonna be in your classroom. And if you have a stopwatch function, it's just a lot easier to keep track of how much time you have left on each section. Second tip is familiarize yourself with the test. Print out a practice PSAT or get out the booklet. Oftentimes school guidance counselors are going to give you guys like a practice PSAT booklet to take home. If you've got the time, take the practice test and go over your answers. If you don't have the time to do that, at least read the directions to every section so that you understand them, and try a couple of questions in each section so that you understand what they look like and how they work. The other thing I'm going to say about familiarizing yourself with the test is we actually have another video called How to Cram for the SAT. That video is really awesome. If you're looking to cram, click on it, check it out. The third tip that I have for you guys is pace yourself. One of the biggest mistakes that I see from first-time test takers, especially people who've never seen a test in their life before, they've never taken a practice test, they sit down for the PSAT totally cold, they don't know what to do, is that something happens. And that something is that they get really hung up on 1 or 2 questions, and they end up spending 5, 10, maybe even 15 minutes on a single question. And then guess what happens? They don't finish the test. Well, it's not a very good gauge of what you're capable of if you spent all this time on one question that's only worth 1 point, and you didn't even get to the rest of the questions that you very well could have gotten right, yeah? So make sure you don't lose track of time. It is a timed test. You don't have forever. And if you find yourself taking more than about a minute or 2 to answer a question, put a giant star next to it in your booklet. You are allowed to write in your booklet, by the way, and come back to it at the end if you've got time to go over it. The other thing I'll say about pacing yourself is that there is no penalty for guessing, so make sure you fill in every bubble. And if for some reason you didn't pace yourself or you don't get to the end, just fill in like B, 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 and make sure that you filled in every bubble on that test, so at least you have a probabilistic chance of getting those right, even if you didn't have time to do them. My 4th tip for you for the PSAT is if you've got a little bit of time, work on your skills. What I mean by that is the math section is pretty standardized, meaning that there's only so many types of math problems that this test is going to ask. And so what you can do is take a practice test, figure out what kind of questions that you're not getting right, and go and drill those kind of question types. Khan Academy has a ton of free practice for all the sections of the SAT, and the SAT, like I said, is basically identical to the PSAT in a lot of ways. So you can just use those questions to prep for the PSAT and drill some skills. The other tip that I have for you guys on skill drilling is to check out some of our other videos from SupertutorTV that go over how to prepare for the SAT, as well as give you some tips. We've got a great video that has 5 tips for the reading section. We've got a video on how to score perfectly on the SAT. That video is also going to give you some background and tips on how to be better prepared for that test and for this test. And we've also got other SAT prep videos. How to self-study for the SAT, how to create a self-study game plan. All of that stuff too applies for the PSAT as well. So check out our other videos. And finally, my 5th tip is don't freak out, because for 98% of you, this test doesn't actually count. It's just a practice test. The PSAT is never sent to colleges. They will not see your PSAT score. Now, who does it count for? Well, if you're scoring in the top 2% of students in the country, doing well on this test could qualify you for something called the National Merit Scholarship Program. If you want more information about the National Merit Scholarship Program and you're interested in knowing, would I qualify? How do I know if I qualify? What are my cutoffs? All that kind of good stuff. We're gonna put more information in our blog. What I'll just say for now is that if you are in the top sort of 2%, it might be to your benefit to do as well as humanly possible on this test, because that could get you some awesome recognition or even a scholarship. So something to keep in mind. But otherwise, for the rest of you, don't freak out. It's just a practice test and it won't count for anything, but it's a great way to learn a little bit more about this process and learn about how you are doing on this test so that you can make sure you're prepared to the level that you're comfortable with, and so that you can make a decision, do I want to take the SAT, or maybe actually I like the ACT better and I'm going to prep for that test after I get through this whole PSAT process. So thanks guys for joining me today. Good luck on your PSAT. If you're on this journey and you want more awesome information, we have a mailing list at SupertutorTV.com. I recommend that you go check it out. Subscribe to our channel, go to our website, SupertutorTV, and I will see you all next time on SupertutorTV. Bye-bye.